All right, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and citations to all the Akim out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, in truth and sincerity, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, Barakatam to you all. All right, so what I'll be entitling this lesson is Yahawashi, the sure mercies of David. Okay, and I draw the inspiration from that title through the Spirit. From a statement that Paul made in Acts chapter 13, verse 34, wherein he explains, okay, that Yahawashi being raised from the dead and seeing no more corruption, okay, was a fulfillment of what was written in Isaiah 55 and 3, all right, concerning how the Most High was going to give to Israel the sure mercies of David, okay. And so that's what this video is going to be explaining, all right. How and why it is that Yahawashi is the sure mercies of David. I also want to give a shout out to the elder Yashawamba in Dallas, okay, because he did a lesson, I believe yesterday or a couple days ago, going into how Solomon, which was Yahawashi in the reincarnation, okay, how he was the sure mercies of David. So I would advise before you watch this video to watch his video if you haven't. He did an excellent job. And he provided a lot of information with the precepts, all right, that would help build a foundation to understand what it is that's going to be talked about in this lesson. All right, so shalom to that brother, and shalom to all Akim abroad who are listening and learning and who believe in Yahweh Yahawashi. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hop into the first precept I have here. 2 Samuel chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 8, and Lord willing, this video is edifying to the elect. Okay, so this is 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 8. All right, this is Nathan speaking. All right, he receives a vision from the Lord, and the Lord commissions him to speak it to David. All right, concerning great blessings. Okay, to say the least. All right, it says, "Now therefore," this is Nathan speaking. "So shalt thou say unto my servant David, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep to be ruler over my people Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight, and made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more, neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies, also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee an house." All right, so the Lord is telling David, I took you from being a shepherd over sheep to be a shepherd over my people, and I made thee great. I established thee to be king over my people Israel, all right, whom I promised that I would separate from among the nations, all right, and that they would not be afflicted of the heathen anymore, all right. And so the Lord is telling David, I'm going to do even greater things for you, okay. I'm going to make thee an house, okay, all right. And this is how the Lord is going to do it, all right. Verse 12, it says, and when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. All right, so this is concerning Solomon. Okay, Solomon is David's seed, wherein the Lord would build an house unto his name. Okay, all right, that's talking about the temple. All right, which that also has spiritual connotations in itself. Okay, because Solomon being Yahawashi is building a spiritual temple. Okay. All right, which was foreshadowed when he built a physical temple as Solomon. Okay, verse 14, and I will be his father, and he shall be my son. Okay, so the Lord is telling David, this son that you're going to have that's going to build a house unto my name, all right, he's going to be my actual son, okay, in the spirit. Okay, all right, so Solomon was Yahawashi. Okay, and if he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men, but my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away from before thee. Okay, so when you go into the story of Solomon, Solomon did sin, all right, but the Lord did not chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. He wasn't beat, okay, all right, and brutalized like that, okay, all right. Why? Because he had to pay for that penalty, all right, not as Solomon but as Yahawashi, and I'm going to go into that later in this lesson, okay. But it says that his mercy, all right, in spite of the fact that if he sinned, okay, which Solomon did sin, all right, the mercy that the Lord promised Solomon was not going to depart, okay, from before him as he took it away from Saul, okay. Why? Because the Lord was going to use Solomon to establish the throne of David, all right, and therefore fulfill the covenant that he is making with David here, okay. Verse 16, and thine house and thy kingdom shall be established before thee, shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever. Okay, so through Solomon, the Lord is going to establish the house of David. Okay, through Solomon, who is Yahawashi, the Lord is going to establish the house of David, the throne of David, the kingdom of the house of David over the 12 tribes of Israel forever. Okay, that's what was supposed to happen. All right, and that is what's going to happen. All right, but it did not happen in the way that one reading the scriptures at the time would have imagined it to, because we know that David did sin and that Solomon did sin as well, okay, and eventually that led to many issues in the nation of Israel. All right, so this is where the twist comes. All right, because here you have in 2 Samuel chapter 15 or 2 Samuel chapter 12, David commits adultery, right? And David had committed adultery with Uriah's wife, okay? And the Lord, since Nathan, the same prophet who prophesied unto David of the covenant and of the kingdom, he sends Nathan to reprove David, and David is ashamed of his sin and he confesses his sin. All right, and so this is happening off of the heels of that interaction. Okay, this is 2 Samuel chapter 12 verse 15, and it says, and Nathan departed unto his house. Okay, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick. And David therefore besought God for the child, and David fasted and went in and lay all night upon the earth. And the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. And it came to pass on the 7th day that the child died, and the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead. But they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? But when David saw that his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto his servants, is the child dead? And they said, he is dead. Then David arose from the earth and washed and anointed himself and changed his apparel and came into the house of the Lord and worshipped. And then he came to his own house when he required. And when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat. Okay, and this whole interaction that's happening here, this is what inspired Psalm 51. Okay, all right. And it says, verse 21, it says, then said his servants unto him, what thing is this thou hast done? Thou didst fast and weep for the child while he was yet alive. But when the child was dead, thou didst rise and eat bread. And he said, while the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, who can tell whether God will be gracious to me, that the child may live? But now he is dead. Wherefore should I fast? Shall I bring him again? Shall I bring him back from the dead again? I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. And David comforted Bathsheba his wife, and went in unto her, and lay with her, and she bare a son, and called his name Solomon, and the Lord loved him. And he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Jedediah, because of the Lord. Okay, so the Lord showed mercy to David, okay, by giving him Solomon, in spite of the fact that he sinned, okay, against the Lord, okay, by committing adultery. The penalty for adultery, according to the law, is death, okay, but the Lord spared David, all right, even though he did afflict David grievously, very, very much, all right, for his sin, all right. The Lord still spared David and gave him Solomon, all right. Why? So that promise and that mercy and that covenant that he made with David might be fulfilled. Okay, and the Lord had David name Solomon. Okay, and the Lord had Nathan name Solomon Jedediah, which means beloved of the Lord. Okay, and that's proof as well that Yahawashi is Solomon. Okay, because the Lord spoke of Yahawashi saying, "This is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased." Okay, now, in spite of the fact that David sinned, okay, the Lord did not kill David. All right, the Lord gave him Solomon, and through Solomon, the Lord established a great kingdom. Okay, all right, so keep that in mind. All right, because I'm about to jump a little further. Okay, into the timeline. Okay, because it's a lot of other stuff. But about Solomon's kingdom and how it was established. But I just want to jump to the points. Okay, so this is 1 Kings chapter 9:1. It says, "And it came to pass when Solomon had finished the building of the house of the Lord, okay, as was promised, okay, he shall build an house for my name, and the king's house, and all Solomon's desires which he was pleased to do." So Solomon's kingdom was established. He built the house. All right, he fulfilled all his desires. All right, and so the promise that the Lord made to David was being fulfilled. Okay, or was being foreshadowed to be fulfilled. Okay, all right. In verse 2, it says that the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time. All right, as he had appeared unto him in Gibeon. All right, because the Lord appeared to Solomon in Gibeon, and Solomon prayed for wisdom, and the Lord appeared to him. And when you read 1 Kings, I believe the 3rd chapter, it goes into it. All right, how Solomon, I believe he made some sacrifices, and the Lord appeared to him in a dream and asked him what he wanted, and he asked the Lord for wisdom. All right, and so the Lord blessed him. All right, and he was able to establish the kingdom and so on and so forth, and build the house, and he had great riches and all those things. Right. All right, so verse 3, it says, "And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me." All right, and that's the prayer concerning the house of the Lord, the temple that Solomon had built. Okay, and that's in the previous chapter. "I have hallowed this house which thou hast built, to put my name there forever, and mine eyes and mine heart shall be there perpetually." Okay, so the Lord hallowed the house, and he said his eyes was going to be on it forever. "And if thou wilt walk before me, as David thy father walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of David, or upon the throne of Israel. But if ye shall at all turn from following me, ye or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight, and Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. Okay, so the Lord told Solomon, right, if you be obedient, all right, and you serve me and you keep my commandments, I'm going to establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised David thy father. Okay, but if you don't be obedient, all right, and your children are not obedient unto me, okay, the whole house of Israel is going to be cut off, and they're going to all, because they're all going to fall into idolatry. Okay, and they're all going to become a proverb and a byword among all people, which that's going back to the curse of Deuteronomy. Okay, I'm going to make you a proverb and a byword among all the nations whither I shall drive thee. Okay, so the Lord is telling Solomon, if you sin, okay, and your children sin, all right, I'm going to cast off the house of David and the people of Israel. Okay, why? Because of idolatry. Okay, and we know that Solomon did sin. Okay, in 2 Kings chapter 11. Okay, verse 9, it says, and the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Okay, so Solomon ended up worshiping the gods of his wives. Okay, And so the Lord was angry with him, okay, all right, because he kept not the Lord's commandment. Verse 11, wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my commandments, or my covenant, and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and I will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Okay, now what's happening here is that the Lord is telling Solomon that because of his sins, all right, he's going to have the kingdom be split, okay, from the house of David, all right. And as you read the narrative of the book of First Kings, that is what happens, okay. The Lord has Jeroboam, okay, be risen up as an adversary to Solomon, okay. And Solomon lives out his days. He's not chastened, okay, with the rod of men, with the stripes of the children of men, but the kingdom is foretold to be taken away from his son, okay. So you have Rehoboam, and Rehoboam makes stupid decisions, and it causes the Israel to follow after Jeroboam, okay. And only the house of Judah is with the house of David, all right. And eventually Benjamin and Levi join into the house of David and the house of Judah, all right. And that's what causes the two kingdoms, the northern and the southern kingdom, all right, of the house of Israel, okay. But that was all because of Solomon's disobedience, all right. So from that point forward, all right, it gets really bad, okay, because Jeroboam and the northern kingdom, they're a bunch of idol worshippers. They worship idols, and the Assyrians take them into captivity. All right, I'm not going to go into all the history of the book of First Kings. Read it on your own, and you can read in the book of Isaiah, and you can read those things, okay. And also the southern kingdom, all right. After Rehoboam, you have certain kings that are righteous, but the majority of them, of the southern kingdom kings, they're all wicked, okay. And so eventually the whole nation of Israel falls into idolatry and disobedience, and the Lord has the northern kingdom taken away into captivity by the Assyrians, and the southern kingdom, all right, upon the rise of the Babylonian Empire, are taken into captivity into Babylon, okay. So the house of David, all right, and the promise the Most High made with David, all right, was not fully fulfilled in that time, okay. Why? Because of Solomon's sin, okay. And you see that sentiment echoed, all right, in Psalm 89, okay, by a man named Ethan the Ezrahite, okay. This is Psalm 89 and 1. It says, Mass shield of Ethan the Ezrahite, I will sing of the mercies of the Lord forever. With my mouth will I make known thy faithfulness to all generations, okay. Now Ethan the Ezrahite, he writes this psalm, okay, because he feels as though that the promises that the Most High made to David, all right, had failed, okay. He's foreseeing the fall of the house of David because of the sins of Solomon and the descendants of the house of David after him, okay, after David and Solomon, okay. So he's foreseeing, the judgment that the Lord is bringing upon Israel and the house of David for that, and he's reacting to it emotionally, all right. And when you read here in the cross references, it gives you some insight on that. It says, a psalm of Ethan the Ezrahite to give instruction. This psalm is generally supposed to have been written during the Babylonian captivity, when the family of David being dethroned and the royal family ruined, the divine prophecies had apparently failed, okay. Now Ethan the Ezrahite was way before the Babylonian captivity. He was one of the wise men of King Solomon's day, okay. All right, so it is my belief that this is actually a prophecy that he's seeing of the future, okay, rather than something that was written after the Babylonian captivity, all right. And as you read in this chapter, all right, he talks about how the Lord made a covenant with David, and how it was supposed to be a blessed covenant, and the house of David was supposed to be blessed, and the house of Israel was supposed to be blessed because of it, and so on and so forth. But then he sees that the promise is not doesn't seem to be fulfilled, all right, because all of the judgments that came upon Israel, all right, and the fact that the kingdom was split and they actually went into captivity, okay? And so I'm going to read verse 29 on down to help illustrate or highlight that point. Okay, it says, his seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. If his children forsake my law and walk not in my judgments, I will, if they break my statutes and keep not my commandments, then will I visit their transgression with the rod and their iniquities with stripes. Nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take away from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail. My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is gone out of my lips. Once have I sworn by my holiness that I will not lie to David. His seed shall endure forever, and his throne as the sun before me. It shall be established forever as the moon, and as a faithful witness in heaven. Selah. But thou hast cast off and abhorred, thou hast been wroth with thine anointed, thou hast made void the covenant of thy servant. Thou hast profaned his crown by casting it to the ground. Thou hast broken all his hedges. Thou hast brought his stronghold to ruins. All that passed by the way spoil him. He is a reproach to his neighbors. Thou hast set up the right hand of his adversaries. Thou hast made all his enemies to rejoice. Thou hast also turned the edge of the sword, the edge of his sword, and has not made him to stand in the battle. Thou hast made his glory to cease, and hast cast his throne to the ground. The days of his youth hast thou shortened. Thou hast covered him with shame. How long, O Lord, wilt thou hide thyself forever? Shall thy wrath burn like fire? Okay, so here in this psalm, you see the sentiment of the fact that the Lord had brought so much judgment upon Israel because of the wickedness of the kings and the people, all right, which was a result of what Solomon did. Remember, this is Solomon sinned originally, and the Lord warned him, if you sin, all right, and your sons after you, which Rehoboam sinned, okay, the kingdom shall be split, all right, and also the children of Israel shall fall into idolatry, all right, and I'm going to scatter them among the nations, and they're going to be a byword and a proverb, okay, and so judgments fell upon Israel because of Solomon, all right. So there was a time in the nation's history where Israel actually felt like the promise of the mercies of David and the house of David and the kingdom of Israel being established were made void and weren't going to happen again, okay, or weren't going to be brought to pass, okay, but they were going to be brought to pass. They were going to be brought to pass through Yahawashi, and that was through Yahawashi paying for what he did as Solomon, okay. All right, when you go back to 2 Samuel, it says, I will beat him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. And he paid for that as Yahawashi, okay? And that's why he's called the sure mercies of David. Let's go to Isaiah 53, okay? All right. Isaiah 53 and 5, it says, but he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. Okay, so Yahawashi, all right, bore that judgment that he was supposed to bear as Solomon, all right, and he ended up dying for his sins and for the sins of the people, all right, and so that's why when he was raised from the dead, okay, that's why Paul cites that as a proof, okay, of the sure mercies of David being accomplished, okay, because even though David sinned, the Most High did not kill David and gave him Solomon. Even though Solomon sinned, all right, he was chastened as Yahawashi, all right, and he did die, but he was risen from the dead, okay, and that was a sign that the Lord was going to reestablish the throne of David through him, okay. Why? Because he paid that penalty, he paid that price, okay. This is Acts chapter 13 verse 33. It says, God hath fulfilled the same unto us their children, in that he raised up. Matter of fact, we gotta go up. Salakia. We gotta go up. This is Acts chapter 13 And verse 21, it says, and afterward they desired a king, and God gave unto them Saul the son of Cis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years. And when he had removed him, he raised up unto them David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony, and said, I have found David the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will. And of this man's seed hath God, according to his promise, raised unto Israel a Savior, Yahawashi. Okay. Now you jump down to verse 33. All right, the topic is Yahawashi. All right, being the fulfillment of what was said, or being a fulfillment of the promise that was made to David. Okay, verse 33, it says, and God hath fulfilled the same unto us, their children. All right, the Israelites, the children of the Israelites, and that he raised up Yahawashi again, as it is also written in the second Psalm, thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. And as concerning that he raised him up from the dead, now no more to return to corruption, he said on this wise, I will give you the sure mercies of David. Okay, so Yahawashi being raised from the dead after he had bore his judgment for the sins that he did as Solomon, which led to the kingdom being split. All right, and all the judgments of the house of David, the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel going into captivity. All right, and so on and so forth. All right, him being raised from the dead was a fulfillment, or was a sign of the fulfillment of the sure mercies of David. Okay, being given unto the house of Israel again, because he bore that judgment, man. All right. Verse 34, it says, wherefore he saith also in another psalm, thou shalt not suffer thine holy one to see corruption. For David, after he had served in his own generation by the will of the Most High, fell on sleep, and was laid unto his fathers, and saw corruption. But he whom God raised again saw no corruption. Okay, so the Most High raising up Yahawashi from the dead, okay, was a fulfillment of the sure mercies of David, because Yahawashi being raised from the dead no more to see corruption, meaning what? He's going to be an immortal king, and he's going to establish an immortal kingdom, okay, an eternal kingdom, man. All right, and that everlasting covenant. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 53. Not Isaiah, Salakia, Isaiah 55 is what I want. Isaiah 55 and 3. Okay, Isaiah 55 and 3, it says, incline your ear and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people, man. So the Most High gave Yahawashi, all right, to die on the cross so that he might be a witness, a leader, a commander of the people, and also for us to receive the everlasting covenant, man, so that the kingdom of the house of David might be established forever. Okay, whereas when he was Solomon, he sinned, all right, and that covenant and that promise was not able to be fulfilled because of his disobedience. When he came as Yahawashi, he was obedient unto death, all right. He bore his judgment that he was supposed to get as Solomon, all right, or that he didn't get as Solomon, I should say, all right, so that the throne in the house of David might be established. Okay, all right. So with that being said, I'm going to go to Isaiah, the 9th chapter, and close it out. Okay, and Isaiah the 9th chapter says what? Okay, it says, for unto us a child is born, and unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, meaning eternal, right, everlasting, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. The Lord sent a word into Jacob, and it lighted upon Israel. Okay, so when Yahawashi came to die, all right, for his sins and for the sins of the nation of Israel, he was pretty much repairing the breach that he caused as Solomon. Okay, and that's why the covenant at the time wasn't able to be fulfilled. Okay, All right, but because he came and suffered the way he suffered for his sins and for the sins of his people, all right, because he really, he's really the one who caused it. Um, um, that's why the Lord gave him the power and the authority to establish that kingdom through him. All right, and the throne of David forever. Okay, so that's the end of this lesson. All right, Lord willing, this video was edifying. Yahawashi is the sure mercies of David, man. All right, a brief synopsis. Okay, David sinned, and the Lord did not kill David. He gave him Solomon. Okay, Solomon sinned. All right, the Lord did not kill Solomon, but the Lord took the kingdom from Solomon. The kingdom split. All right, and because of Solomon's sins, that's why that happened. And eventually, the whole nation of Israel fell into idolatry, following after after him. Okay, and they were taken into captivity. But when he came as Yahawashi and died for his sins, okay, and for the sins of the people, he repaired that breach so that the tabernacle and the house of David could be rebuilt again. All right, and that the kingdom of the house of David and the kingdom of Israel might be established forever. So all praises to Yahawashi, Bashem Makakwadash. Yahawashi is the sure mercies of David. All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawashi, Bashem Makakwadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to all that came out there pushing the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash in truth and sincerity. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Barakatam to you all. And with that, I want to say Shalom.